Shot clock turned off. Warriors will hold it. This one is another W for the Dubs. At the end of a 2-week-long trip, which went into Miami, Atlanta, San Antonio, Memphis, LA, and then ends up back here on the back end of a back-to-back, and the Warriors fighting through all of that. Come away with a 118-104 win over Denver. Snapping a 9-game losing streak to the Nuggets, but more importantly, they will be in the playoff bracket for yet another day as they continue to put pressure on the teams below them.
Well said by Tim Roy. He summed it up well. A really important Warrior win today, 118-104 over the Nuggets. When was the last time we got to say the Warriors beat the Nuggets? It has been a really, really long time. In fact, it's nearly been 3 full years. That had to feel good. Get that monkey off the Warriors' back. And as Tim Roy said, they stay as the 5 seed in the Western Conference. Before I get out of here tonight, I will run you through the entire Western Conference gauntlet. A lot happened tonight. I'll get you updated on everything happening around the Warriors in the standings. All you need to know for now before we get into any of those details is the Warriors are the 5 seed. They will stay the 5 seed because of their win tonight. Welcome in. It's Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy with you. Wow, what a win, Dub Nation. And we got plenty of time to get into every single angle of it. And I want to hear from you guys all night long here on Warriors Wrap-Up. There's a number of ways you can join the conversation, whether you want to give me a call the old-fashioned way, 888-957-9570. You can also shoot me a text at that same number, 888-957-9570. I already see the 209, the 925, the 408, the 650, a 559. A lot of people already chiming in on our text line. If neither of those things work for you and you prefer to watch your radio, you can also check us out on Twitch and YouTube. I've got our YouTube chat in front of me right now. Shout out to Berkeley, to Moco, to Dublin, to Vince, to Carson, to Andis, to Ryan, to everyone's worst nightmare, and a number of others. Thanks so much for being here on this Friday evening. We've got a lot to get to as the Warriors win again, 118-104 over the Nuggets. The Warriors snap their 9-game losing streak to Denver. They equal last year's win total, 46 wins for the Warriors. They were 46-36 last year. They're 46-31 with 5 games left. They've now won 5 consecutive games, and they will stay 5th in the Western Conference. If the season were to end right now, it would be Warriors-Nuggets in the first round because Lakers win today, Nuggets lose today. Lakers are back into the 3 seed. Nuggets are back down to the 4. This is going to continue to change over the final handful of games of this regular season, but interesting to note, if the season ended right now, it would be Warriors versus Nuggets, and considering the way the Warriors played today, I don't think they'd be too fearful of this Denver Nuggets team. Now, I know the Warriors had lost 9 consecutive games, and I'll give you the exact numbers here. The last time the Warriors beat the Nuggets, April 27th, 2022. That's less than 2 months away from being 3 full calendar years ago, and that was Game 5 of the Western Conference Playoffs first round, Warriors versus Nuggets way back when. That was a Nuggets team that did not have Jamal Murray. Interestingly enough, the Nuggets also did not have Jamal Murray tonight, but I could fire back at you. Well, the Warriors were on a back-to-back, and not a home back-to-back. They were in L.A. last night, and that game was the end of a 6-game, 2-week road trip that saw the Warriors go from Atlanta to Miami to New Orleans to San Antonio to Memphis, then to LA, and then they have to, on the back end of that road trip, the next night, fly home, play Denver, who was already in San Francisco, probably lounging in their hotel rooms, watching you play in LA the night before, resting and getting ready for you, and the Warriors still come in and win this game again by a final score of 118-104. What about the last time the Warriors beat Denver in the regular season? You got to go all the way back to more than 3 years ago, March 10th, 2022. And if you were listening to me here on Warriors Live earlier today. I was live from Splash right outside of Chase Center getting you ready for this basketball game. I know there's not a lot of people out there who felt this way then. Maybe tonight changed your mind. I'm not that fearful of these Denver Nuggets. Something doesn't quite feel right to me. Nikola Jokic is the best player in the world, and if I had an MVP vote, which I don't, but if I did, I'd vote for Jokic to win MVP. It's nothing against Shea. I just think Nikola Jokic is by far the best player in the world, and he's doing things that nobody has ever done in this league before. Jokic is incredible, and he was really good again in this one today. I mean, he was an assist away from another 30-point triple-double. He had 33 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists. But the Warriors essentially said, all right, I mean, Nikola, you're going to get yours. We know you are. We're not going to let you get like 50, but we're also not going to let not many other people help you. Michael Porter Jr. had 23, did most of his damage in the first half, but not a lot else from the others for the Denver Nuggets. And that has kind of been the Warriors' strategy at times. It's Jokic, you got to beat us by yourself. But the Warriors really buckled down on Jokic after he had an amazing first quarter. And then the Warriors' offense kicked into gear and they won this game. Really, I think they won it on the defensive end after quarter one, but their offense got into a rhythm. And the way the Warriors' offense works, they have always fed off of their stops, off of getting stops on the defensive end, steals, turnovers, defensive rebounds, and then pushing the tempo the other way. And it felt like pretty often, back in the Warriors dynasty days, they would have like those avalanches where they'd come at teams in waves, right? And there was nothing the opponent could do about it. And then you get, whether it was Oracle or even in 2022 with Chase, you get the crowd into it. And Chase was great tonight. Not saying that it was Oracle level great. That's like an impossible standard to reach. But then once the crowd gets into it, you hear the Warriors chant ringing out inside of this building or at the old Oracle building. The opponent they have nowhere to turn. They can't do anything. This felt like a classic Warriors avalanche. The Warriors got absolutely cooked in the first quarter. It was 44 after the first quarter. It was 44-34. So a 10-point Denver lead. The Warriors' offense was fine. I mean, it was really good. Podziemski was awesome. Steph was normal. Steph. I mean, we're gonna get to Steph. I mean, how amazing was Steph in this game again on the back end of a back-to-back. We'll get to that. But the Warriors' defense was getting absolutely cooked in the first quarter. Denver scored 44 points in the first quarter. They were 17 for 24 from the field. So only 7 misses. 7 misses in the first quarter for Denver. On 4 of those 7 misses, they got an offensive rebound, which means the Warriors only forced a missed shot and got a defensive rebound, which is how you define a singular stop, right? Force a miss and grab a rebound. The Warriors only did that 3 times in the first quarter. 3 times in the first quarter. Denver scored 44 points. They shot 71% from the field, and they had a 10-point lead. It felt like this was going to be a game where the Warriors were going to have to score like 125 just to keep in this game, but then something changed. The Warriors' defense absolutely dominated quarters 2, 3, and 4. Denver scored just 16 in the second, 24 in the third, and 20 in the fourth. How about some of these numbers? Denver in the final 3 quarters, right? The final 36 minutes of this basketball game. 60 points, 23 of 50 from the field. 23 of 50 is not a bad number. That's only just barely below 50% from the field. But over 3 quarters, 36 minutes of basketball, Denver only got up 50 shot attempts. 50 shot attempts in 3 quarters. That is absolutely unheard of. Meanwhile, the Warriors, in their final 3 quarters, they shot the ball 66 times in quarters 2, 3, and 4. The Warriors dominated the possession battle, especially in the final 3 quarters. They just, they sliced Denver, and they just let them bleed out. Like they did not give them a way to score enough points. They were forcing turnovers. They were not allowing Denver offensive rebounds. Denver had 4 offensive rebounds in the first quarter, 3 the rest of the game. And then the Warriors forced 26 turnovers in this game. Denver only committed 3 turnovers in the first quarter. 23 Denver turnovers in the final 3 quarters. The Warriors' defense looked like slow. It looked like they were on a back-to-back after a 2-week-long road trip. I don't know what clicked like that after the first quarter, but the Warriors' defense was absolutely dominant quarters 2 through 4. It was absolutely incredible. And that has always been the Warriors' path to victory and path to dominating opponents. It has been defense, get us stops, get steals, get us out in transition, get a defensive rebound, feed Steph up the floor in a frenzy. Defense does not know what the hell to do. We're going to get easy buckets that way. And then once the ball starts rolling and the crowd gets into it, if you're here at home, there is not much that can stop that kind of Warrior run. And that's what it felt like in the second quarter, when the Warriors immediately got out to a 7-0 run. They won that quarter 32-16, and then it felt again that way, like late third and leading into the fourth. And Oracle Arena, wow, going back to old times. Chase Center really was into this game. You also have to credit the Warriors for the energy that they brought in this game. I mentioned the energy defensively in the first quarter was not great. Jokic was getting absolutely everything he wanted, specifically in the paint. And Denver as a whole was getting anything that they wanted. The Warriors were not staying in front of cutters. They were kind of caught ball watching at times. Jokic had a crazy no-look over-the-head pass where he throws it backwards to a cutter who had an easy layup. Jokic is great, and he's going to make you look foolish at times. But it was bad Warrior defense in the first quarter. And then, honestly, the offense in the first quarter didn't look like slow or sluggish or like they were tired or exhausted from a back-to-back at the tail end of a long 2-week road trip. But then it was both ends starting in the second quarter, and the Warriors absolutely ran away with that one. Again, it was 44-34 Denver after one, and then in the final 3 quarters, 84-60 Warriors. Steph Curry was absolutely amazing in this game. He had 36 points. He made 7 more threes. He was 13 for 24 from the field. He was amazing. He was into this game from the jump. I can't really count the number of times that he I don't mean over celebrated as in celebrated too much for what the moment called for, but like Curry will make a 3, and he makes so many of them. He's made over 4,000 in his career that normally he doesn't like do anything extra other than just like run back up the court. There was a lot of times where he did like the extra pound his chest or shimmy or look to the crowd and try to get them on their feet. Like that happened at least 5 or 6 times tonight. The Warriors were in this game mentally and emotionally. You could tell. It was the same thing for Draymond on the other end of the floor. Draymond Green, defensively, I mean, this was just a joy to watch. The first quarter was ugly, but specifically quarters 2, 3, and 4. Every time Draymond got to stop. He would puff out his chest, right? He would go up to the Warriors bench. He'd dap up Guy Santos on the bench. He'd dap up Quentin Post on the bench. Whoever was on the bench, he'd dap him up. He'd scream at the crowd. He'd point at whoever he just locked down. He would like laugh at Russell Westbrook after he forced a turnover and Russ dribbled it off his foot and it went out of bounds. The Warriors were very emotionally in this game from the beginning. And honestly, watching this game, I had a hard time coming to terms with the path that each of these two teams had been on to get to this game. The Warriors, off of a 2-week-long road trip that was emotional as hell for a number of different reasons. They began it with the emotional low of getting absolutely plastered and blown out in Atlanta. You say you're going to get up emotionally for Jimmy Butler's return to Miami, and you fall incredibly short. Steph isn't playing in either of those games. You have a really slow start in New Orleans, one of the worst teams in the league. You come back and ultimately win that game. Then you get to the emotional high of absolutely shooting shooting the lights out of the ball in San Antonio. You dominate that game. You have always an emotional game in Memphis. Steph goes for 52, makes 12 threes. You're thinking, how can he possibly top that? Then you go to LA. At the end of that trip, you outduel LeBron and Luka. You win that game. You climb up to 5 in the standings. You're within a half game or a game of the Lakers, and you can sniff Denver, and then you return home on a back-to-back, and you have to strap them on again. And you're wondering, how much energy does this Warrior team have left? It's not just the number of games that they've played. They've now played 3 games in 4 nights, and they're against really good teams. Memphis, although they are falling down a little bit of late, at that point, they were the 5th seed in the West. Then you play the Lakers, the 4 seed in the West. Then you play the Nuggets, the 3 seed in the West. How do the Warriors have the energy for this game? That's what you come into this game thinking. And then you have Denver, they played on Tuesday, the night the Warriors were in Memphis. They played at home against Minnesota on Tuesday. They went to double overtime, and they lost that game. Russell Westbrook, with some incredibly wild decisions down the stretch in that game, costs the Nuggets a really important win, which also would have helped the Warriors because it would have given them a little bit of breathing room with Minnesota, who's right behind them in the Western standings. Although that Denver loss makes the Warriors climbing past Denver for the 4 seed that much more possible now. The Warriors are only a half game behind Denver, who currently are now back down to the 4 because the Lakers won and Denver lost. Lakers are back up to 3. Denver's back down to 4. So maybe that loss and that Russell Westbrook implosion ultimately ends up helping the Warriors. That's where Denver was on Tuesday. Okay, emotional loss. They had a back-to-back versus San Antonio. They decided to rest all of their key players. Jokic didn't play. Jamal Murray didn't play. Right? All these guys did not play. So they're rested, getting ready for this Warrior game on Friday. That's the path that Denver took to get this game. And Denver looked like the older team. Denver looked like the sluggish team. Denver looked like the tired team. Denver looked like the exhausted team. Meanwhile, the Warriors should be all those things. Denver has no reason to be any of those things. The Warriors ran laps around the Nuggets in this basketball game. And it was pretty incredible to see. The Warriors were more into this game emotionally. They were more into this game physically. They were more into this game just energy and effort-wise, specifically after quarter number 1. And there is absolutely no reason other than this is a Warrior team led by like superhuman figures. And this is a Denver team who, in my estimation, doesn't really have the feel of a team going into the postseason on the right note. They've now lost 3 consecutive games, and they are plummeting down the Western Conference standings. There was a time recently when it looked like they might be able to catch Houston for the 2 seed. Now they might be staring at being the 5. The Warriors are only a half game behind Denver. Now Denver has the tiebreaker. Even after what happened tonight, Denver has the tiebreaker over the Warriors, so the Warriors have to be a full game better than Houston or than Denver at the end of the regular season. And there's only 5 games left for the Warriors, 4 games left for Denver. So let's assume the Warriors win that extra game and they're tied. The Warriors would have to go 4-0 and Denver would have to go 3-1. All right, let's 5-0 for the Warriors, 3-1 for Denver. 4-1 for the Warriors, 3-2 or 2-2 for Denver. That's the way in which it would have to happen. So it's possible. Certainly possible, and I'll take a look at the Denver schedule the rest of the way before we get out of here tonight. But there is no way that the Warriors should have been the team that came in with the higher desire level. And that's what it was. And it was from the jump. And maybe the Warriors had to kind of manufacture that themselves. Because, again, there was the Draymond energy, the Draymond playing to the crowd, the Draymond banging on his chest every time he got a stop. And that's classic Draymond, but it was more often and more pronounced than usual. Also, it was Draymond. You could tell that he is really, really, really begging. Not begging is the wrong word. Really campaigning for the DPOY, Defensive Player of the Year. He's going to win it. You can lock it up. It's it's like all but over. Draymond Green is going to win the Defensive Player of the Year. He again made some amazing defensive plays in this game. So many people out there, and this is why I think Draymond only has one Defensive Player of the Year to his name so far in his career, which is absolutely absurd. Draymond is one of the best defenders this game has ever seen. You just look at like the stats of one, Draymond, how many blocks and steals does he have? And then you look at the stats of who his, supposed matchup is. And Jokic was his general matchup today. Jokic scored 33, had 12 rebounds and 9 assists. That's a great game. But that's not what defense is about, specifically when you're Draymond Green. And Draymond Green defensively had 1 steal and 1 block. There's a lot of people out there who will look at a box score and say, how possibly could you say Draymond's DPOY? 1 block, 1 steal. Jokic was an assist away from a 30-point triple-double. What did you do, Draymond? And that's not who Draymond is. If you're a trained basketball eye, and I'm speaking to Warrior fans out there right now, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. Draymond is the defender that does so much more than just defend his matchup. He defends almost everybody on the floor at once, and he's so good. He is like a defensive basketball genius that he sees plays before they happen. He sees what opponents are trying to do, and he either goes out there and shuts it down himself or says, hey, Looney, or hey, Moody, or hey, whoever, Jimmy. Jimmy's pretty good at it himself as well, so he might not be directing Jimmy as much, but he will go and see what's happening before it happens, and he will stymie that plan. And if you're not really sure what you're looking for, you just see, a Denver team dribbling along the perimeter trying to get into an action, and for whatever reason, they didn't execute it well, and they have to reset. Okay, and then maybe ultimately they get into the paint and they have to rush a shot because what they were trying to do didn't work, and they miss it off the rim. Draymond might not even get the defensive rebound. Did Draymond get any statistics for that play? No. But he was the reason why what Denver or whoever the opponent was trying to do did not work. Draymond Green is a defensive savant, and at age 35, he has really summoned that greatness at an incredibly high level consistently of late, and it's a big reason why the Warriors have now won 5 consecutive games. And how about this? And we got plenty of time for your calls and your text here on Warriors Wrap Up, 888-957-9570. That's the number to call and the text line. Plus, I've got my eyes on our YouTube chat powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Shout out to Ace, to Carlos, to Book of Barnett, to Empire, to TG, to who else? Carson, to Empire, to Zyver. Apologies if I'm pronouncing your names wrong. But the Warriors are now 14-0 with the starting lineup that started tonight, which is Curry, Podziemski, Butler, Moody, and Green. That 5, when they start a game, the Warriors are 14-0. They have not lost, and that is approaching NBA record historic numbers. If the Warriors are undefeated with that starting group at the end of the regular season, it will be the first time the Warriors, or first time in NBA history, a unit has that many wins without a loss in a season. 14-0 with that starting group. Curry, Podziemski, Moody, Butler, Draymond. Since Jimmy Butler debuted, the Warriors are 21-5. In games in which Jimmy Butler plays, the Warriors are 21-4. I will take it one step further. When Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler play together, the Warriors are 20-2. 20-2 when Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler play. But I can already hear what maybe some Warriors doubters out there are going to say. It's, well, congrats, you beat Denver, but no Jamal Murray. Congrats, you beat the Bucks way back when without Giannis. Congrats, you beat so-and-so when so-and-so was out. The Warriors are an elite basketball team when they have their pieces there. It does not matter who they're playing. If Steph and Jimmy Butler are playing basketball, the Warriors rarely lose. And when you get what you got tonight and what you've been getting of late from Brandin Podziemski, the Warriors are darn near impossible to beat. That is how good they have been of late. All right, it's Warriors Wrap Up here on 95.7 The Game. Let's see. Rich and Manny and August and Chardol. I see you guys on hold. I had to get that off my chest to begin. I want to give all of you guys enough time, so hang out on hold. We got to hit a break in like a minute. I don't want any of you guys to have to squeeze in your calls in just 60 seconds. So please, Rich and Manny and August and Chardol, hang out on hold. I will get to you when we come back. Plus, we've got Steve Kerr, his post-game comments. I will let you hear from the coach as the Warriors beat the Nuggets. They snap a 9-game losing streak to Denver. Final score, Warriors 118, Nuggets 104. The Warriors have equaled their win total from last year. 46 and 36 was the record last year. The Warriors 46 and 31 right now with 5 games left. They've won 5 consecutive games, and they are staying at 5th place in the Western Conference. Plenty more to get into. Your calls, your texts, your YouTube messages, and a whole lot more coming up next as we continue. Warriors wrap up 95-7 the game. I'm Mark Randy, live from Chase Center. Dubs win 118-104 over the Nuggets. More next on 95-7 the game.
of him. That's ridiculous. Ties the game at 51.
Oh, my God.
Now back to Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game.
You know it's good stuff when Tim and Tom are just laughing. You know that the Warriors are doing something special, and usually it is number 30, Stephen Curry. Welcome back, Warriors Wrap Up here on 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy with you. I have a feeling like this is going to be a late night because there's so many of you guys that want to chat, and I would have it no other way. So keep your calls coming, keep your texts coming. I'm going to go out to the phone lines in just a second. Rich, you're going to be up first, but don't worry. I also see you, Manny and August and Chardol and a bunch of others. Be patient, and I will get to you before we get out of here tonight. Really quickly, before I go out to Rich, I just want to read to you Stephen Curry's recent games because that's how good he has been. It goes beyond belief what he's doing right now. Let's go back to Tuesday in Memphis. 52 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, 5 steals, made 12 threes. Last night in LA versus the Lakers, 37 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists. Tonight, on the back end of a back-to-back, 36 points, 5 assists, made 7 threes. And oh, by the way, all of this coming while he's still dealing with a pelvic contusion. By the way, questionable tonight. It was uncertain if he was even going to play. Same for Draymond, same for Jimmy Butler and for GP2. All 3 of them played. Jimmy Butler and Steph played particularly well. GP2, good to see him back. Did his normal stuff defensively. Didn't do much on offense, but first game back after partially tearing a ligament in his left thumb. But good to see him back. Steph, despite all of that and landing on his tailbone a couple more times last night and was very clearly in a lot of pain still, does what he did last night, then returns tonight off a flight home, 36 points, 5 assists, made 7 more threes. In those 3 games, he's averaging nearly 42 points per game. He's 50% from downtown on 46 attempts. Over 3 games, he's put up 46 threes. 23 of them have gone in. That is insane volume and efficiency. He is on one. He's 37 years old. And oh, by the way, all 3 of those games wins against playoff teams in the Western Conference. At the time of playing them, Memphis was the 5. Lakers were the 4. Nuggets were the 3. Steph Curry, 42 points per game in those 3. 23 for 46 from deep. And led the Warriors to wins in all 3. He's 37 years old. This is not normal. But Steph is making it look normal. That's how good Steph is. All right, it's Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game. I'm Mark Randy, coming to you live from Chase here in downtown San Francisco as the Warriors win once again, 118-104, the final score over the Nuggets. They've now won 5 consecutive games and are still 5th in the Western Conference. All right, let's go out to the phone lines, 888-957-9570. We've got full lines, so if you're trying to call in, just stay patient. We will get to you. Up first is Rich in Fremont. Rich, welcome. How you doing, Rich?
Good, Grandy, man. Thank you, sir, for taking this on. You grabbed the bull by the horns this evening. Kudos to you. And if anybody is watching this, if you are a lifer like me, you know about the Cohen years. 45 years we waited. They brought us a title. Right now, what we are watching is greatness at a level we will never see again. My goodness. Will someone please tell Stephen Curry he's 37? Because the man's playing like he's 25. Yep. Oh, my goodness. We are watching Warrior eye candy right now. And for you youngsters that's coming into the regime and you're looking and you're thinking, well, I'm not sure, I don't know, I'm letting you know right now. Enjoy this. Enjoy it. Because guess what? We may be going back into the doldrums again. This may not be as good as it is right now. This is perfection. And listen, if they don't even get to the second round, I'm sorry, guys. I got to tip my hat to the entire team right now. These guys were in the 11th spot. The 11th spot. They were talking about the play-in. They get Butler, and all of a sudden, what we're looking at now, look, if I am Houston, if I am OKC, if I am Denver right now, I'm sorry, guys, I'm sweating. I mean, come on. This is Stephen freaking Curry. This is the Golden State Warriors regime and everything they've done. These guys, if they don't get to the finals, they can be dangerous. This could get bad if you're in the top three. Brandy, thanks for taking my call. Have a good evening, my brother.
Hey, Rich, you set the tone amazing, and thanks for the kind words off the top. You took the handoff, and you carried it well. You got us the first down, and I can already tell you, Rich, you got a lot of fans in our YouTube chat right now. So many positive comments coming in. They love your energy, Rich. They agree with you. And yeah. I mean, this Warrior, Rich said, I mean, they were the 11 seed. They were hoping to just make the play-in tournament, and now they're a game out of the 3 seed. They're a game out of the 3 seed. They're a half game out of the 4 seed. There is a very real chance the Warriors could have home court advantage in a first-round postseason series. That was absolutely crazy lunacy talk. Like, if you said that you thought that was going to happen when the Warriors were the 11 seed, and you said, I think they're going to be the 4 and they will they'll have home court advantage in a postseason series, in the first round of a postseason series, I would have said, brother, I'm going to check you into a mental hospital. Like, that's how crazy that thought was. And now the Warriors are a half game out of that. Now, really more than a half game out because Denver has the tiebreaker. But even if they finish even with the 4 seed in the standings, but happen to lose out on the tiebreaker, that is still absurd what this Warrior team has done. Again, I will read these stats off to you one more time. With this starting lineup, Curry, Podziemski, Moody, Butler, Draymond, 14-0. Since Jimmy Butler debuted, the Warriors are 21-5. When Jimmy Butler plays, the Warriors are 21-4. When Steph and Jimmy play, they both play in games, the Warriors are 20-2. I don't care if the Warriors have beaten up on a bunch of nobodies, on a bunch of quality teams that were missing stars. 20-2 does not just happen in the NBA. That is a large enough sample. We're talking about 22 basketball games. That is more than a quarter of a season of evidence that suggests the Warriors are not just a good basketball team, but when they are whole, and specifically when Steph and Jimmy play, and you can also throw Draymond in there, when those 3 play, the Warriors are not just a good basketball team, but they are an elite basketball team. And I think, OKC is on a level by themselves, in my opinion. I don't think any basketball team goes into a series like absolutely quivering and shaking in their boots. But the Warriors are not going to be a comfortable series for anybody. For anybody, I can guarantee you that. And if you are the Lakers or the Rockets or the Nuggets who are thinking about hosting or being a home team, having the home court advantage in a playoff series, they're probably saying, oh, please let us get Memphis. Maybe Denver is rooting against Minnesota, but I think everybody else might be saying, please, not the Warriors. We'll take somebody else other than the Warriors. This Warrior team is scary right now. 888-957-9570 as we continue. 118-104 was the Warrior win today over the Nuggets. They've snapped a 9-game losing streak versus Denver, and they've now won 5 consecutive games. Up next on the phone lines at 888-957-9570 is Manny in Houston. Manny, what's up? Welcome. You're on 95.7 The Game. It's Warriors Wrap-Up. How you doing, Manny?
Hey, Granny, I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, man. A hell of a basketball game today in Chase. What do you think?
Oh, man, it had me stunned through and through. You know, to be honest with you, tonight was a big test for me. Not only to give me confidence against any team come playoffs, but also after JK's return against Sacramento. He had an amazing performance. We got really hyped up on him, but then he unfortunately regressed, especially against Denver. So I had to see him against Denver again, and he did had some big-time shots tonight. I just can't feel comfortable with 36% shooting and only 1 defensive rebound. I mean, he did have 18 minutes. I do need to see a little bit more effort on those boards from him.
Yeah, Manny, appreciate the call. It wasn't anywhere near the Kuminga performance that we saw last night. Last night, for my money, not like stats wise, but just like feel wise and making the right decisions, I thought it was maybe the best game of Kuminga's career. He's had other moments where he's like taken over more offensively, but in terms of like filling exactly what the Warriors needed from him, I thought last night was maybe the best we've ever seen him do it. It wasn't nearly as smooth tonight. It was a little clunky, but that's gonna happen. I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. I don't think Kuminga is much of a story tonight. Now, I will say, Manny, and I appreciate the call, if the Warriors are going to legitimately make a run in the postseason, they need Kuminga to be more like last night than tonight. But the Warriors have shown that they could cover up for an off night, and they could win with an off night from Steph. They could win with an off night from Jimmy. Jimmy last night wasn't great in LA, and the Warriors still beat a good team on the road. The Warriors can, win when Kuminga isn't at that elite level like he was yesterday. So, this is still information gathering season, I think, for the Warriors and JK. Tonight was, another data point. And you hope that he plays a little bit better when Houston is in town. He's been great against Houston. That game is on Sunday, so we'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, Kuminga doesn't really pop to mind for me tonight. I would like to see a little bit more efficiency from him offensively, but it wasn't like downright terrible, and I don't think it's a much of a discussion point in this one. All right, let's go back out to the phone lines, 888-957-9570. Let's see, August. August is in Oakland, and I know August wants to talk about Brandin Podziemski. What's up, August? You're on 95.7 The Game. How you doing?
Yeah, what's up, man? So first off, for anybody who doesn't know, Pods is the real deal. You know what I'm saying? Whoever didn't know, Pods is the real deal. Some of those threes that he were hitting, those were veteran. Oh, you let me hit it. He's a vet already, and like this soon. Second, if you're a gambling man, go ahead and lock in that Draymond Defensive Player of the Year. Your odds aren't going to be great because everybody knows now that he's the only one. When he's out there playing and showing it, he's on primetime television. Everybody can see it, and he's verbally campaigning for it through podcasts and everything else. It's a total lock. Go ahead and bet the house on it, and you might win you a lawnmower set off your house, but still, it's a lock.
Yeah, appreciate the call, August. I mean, I'm with you. The best time to bet it would have been like 2 weeks ago. You would have gotten some pretty good odds. Unfortunately, for betting purposes, he's like the heavy favorite, so you'd have to bet a lot of money in order to win not a lot. But I do feel pretty confident that it is going to hit. I'm glad that August brought up Podziemski because I've mentioned it in passing. I said this a while ago, and I think it's still true. Brandin Podziemski deserves an apology from so many of us Warrior fans. He had a really rough beginning to this season, and I still don't think he gets enough credit for the way that he's played, particularly since he returned from his latest injury. Remember when he went down a minute into the game in Brooklyn at the end of that other road trip when the Warriors were in Orlando, Philly, Charlotte, then New York versus the Knicks, and then Brooklyn and the Nets. He missed essentially that entire Brooklyn game. He missed the first 5 games of that 7-game homestand. Since then, he's played in, let's see, tonight was the 9th game since he's returned. In his previous 8, before tonight, he's been averaging 17 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, 3 assists per game, only 1 turnover per game. He's been shooting, get this, 51.7% from downtown, 51%, almost 52% from deep over an 8-game stretch. And then tonight, he backs it up with another 20-point performance, 26 points, along with 8 rebounds, 6 assists, had 2 steals, 10 of 16 from the field, 4 of 8 from downtown. Now you look at what he's done over the last 9 games, specifically from downtown. You add in that 4 of 8 from downtown tonight. That's 34 for 66 34 for 66 from downtown, still over 50% for Podziemski since he returned from that minor back injury that cost him 5+ games. Over his last 9, Podziemski is shooting the ball at an incredibly elite level. And what he did tonight, I mean, from downtown again, 4 for 8. You'll take that every single night. He was incredible. And by the way, one of the misses was a half-court heave to end a quarter. I think it was at the end of the third quarter. Like you can kind of throw that one out. He was really more like 4 for 7 from downtown. But what I loved from Podziemski, he is becoming this one of the few players in the NBA who is incredibly efficient in the mid-range. And the mid-range is like a lost art in today's game. If you look at like shot charts, it's 3-pointers, specifically in the corners, but 3-pointers all around the arc, and then everything within like 8 feet of the rim. That is like where 90+% of the shots in today's league comes from. Brandin Podziemski of late, and specifically tonight, 5 of 7 in the mid-range. He hit 2 from the left side, 3 from around the free throw line, and then he missed 2 on the right side. 5 for 7 in the mid-range. His, like, off the dribble, what the Warriors do a lot is whether it's split action or whether it's Steph drives and kicks and you have a closeout on Podziemski, because he's hitting the 3 at such a high clip, again, over 50% over his last 9 games, you have opponents who are closing out on him kind of recklessly. He gives them either the little head fake or a ball fake or a pump fake, drives past him. He brings up Jokic or whatever the big man is, and instead of trying to go at him and finish at the rim, just power dribble up. 12-foot jumper, 15-foot jumper, and he is beginning to get really, really good at that. And it's a lost art in today's NBA. There's not a lot of like mid-range specialists. Not saying that Podziemski is a mid-range specialist, but he is very clearly adding that to his game, and it's been a point of emphasis, I'm sure, because he's done a lot of that of late, and he was really, really good in that moment, in that area tonight. All right, back out to the phone lines, 888-957-9570. Chardol is in Fremont. Chardol, what's up? It's Warriors Live. I'm Mark Randy. How you doing, Chardol?
Hey, Mark, it's great calling to the show, man. I'm a big fan of you. I'm a big fan of 95.7 of the game. I love you. You do a great job covering the Warriors. I have to come and meet you, and we have to get a photo someday. That's a goal. I'm going to put that on my bucket list. That's going to happen one day. I'm going to come and meet you. We're going to get a photo. I love to see you. I would love to, that would be a dream come true for me. Great win for the Warriors. Took down, great win for the Warriors. They won by a final score of 118-104. Great win for the Dubs. They take care of business. I mean, this was a great win for the Golden State Warriors. They took down the Nuggets 118-104. Steph Curry and Podziemski combined for 62 points. Those are the most exciting duo. They play so well together. I love those two players, man. They're amazing. But I'm a big fan of the radio network. I listen to the car when I'm coming back from work or anywhere, and I listen to you on the radio. But I'm a big fan of you. I'm definitely going to call again on Warriors Wrap Up. I think you do a great job, and I wish you keep on and doing really well.
Thanks, Chardol. Appreciate the call, and thank you so much for the kind words. Yeah, if you're ever at a Warrior game or at one of our live shows that are out in the public, you stop by, say what's up. Love to take a picture with you, but appreciate all the kind words. Very, very nice. The Podziemski-Curry combo today, it was deadly. I mean, Steph had 36, Podziemski had 26, so those two combined for 62 points in this game. You get 62 points from your starting backcourt. Like that, I'm going to be very careful here. I'm not saying Brandin Podziemski is Klay Thompson, okay? Klay Thompson is a Hall of Fame basketball player, maybe the second best three-point shooter to ever walk the earth. Brandin Podziemski and Steph Curry had a Steph Curry and Klay Thompson kind of game tonight. Like that's what it was. 26 points for Podziemski, 36 for Steph. You get that from your starting backcourt, you're not going to lose many basketball games. That's how good those two were. And then you got 19 from Jimmy Butler, and he did it kind of quietly in normal Jimmy Butler fashion. You get those 19 from Jimmy when you get 62 from Steph and Pods. You get the good defense from Draymond. He made 4 of his 8 shots, got 8 points. Moody hit a couple of threes in the first half. That was big. You get a couple of other points here and there. You play that solid defense that the Warriors have been doing a lot of lately. You're going to win a lot of basketball games. All right, back out to the phones we go. 888-957-9570. Dre has been waiting patiently in Lemoore. Dre, what's up? You're on Warriors Wrap-Up. How you doing, Dre?
I'm doing good, Grandy. I think you got a stalker with that last caller, but it's all going to be good, brother.
Man, we like Chardot. We're all good. What do you got for me, Dre?
Yeah, I took a picture with your boy. Your boys in the daytime. Anyway,
Willard and Dibs.
I can't believe. Before them.
Steiny and Goo.
Steiny and Goo.
There you go.
It was against Houston. It was the game where Durant got hurt in the playoffs. I took my daughter there for a graduation present. Anyway, as a matter of fact, we got along so well, they asked me today how my daughter's doing when I was on the phone.
Awesome.
But, yeah, good peeps. Plan to meet you one day too, Randy, but we don't have to do all that. Anyways, hey, yeah, I'm from Lemoore. I caught the pregame show on the app. I drove all the way from Mesa, Arizona. And I just got in Lemoore, and I made such good time that I caught about the last 10 minutes of the game in Bakersfield. But I'm watching my phone, which I shouldn't be doing when I'm on the highway from time to time, and I seen the end of the first quarter, and I'm like, what the heck? Well, they played the Lakers last night, and they haven't beat Denver yet. Denver's got their number. And I'm looking, and I was like, yeah. And then the next thing I know, they got the lead. And I'm like, what the heck happened? And then the third quarter happened. They're pretty much keeping up, had a 7-point lead, 8-point lead, 10-point lead. I hate to call you, ask you what happened, but I hear you today that Podziemski, he shot the lights out last night. He must have shot him out tonight. He's got 26. That's big. Because I've been jealous of old Reeves on L.A. They got a big 3 kind of over there. Pods comes in, and he can keep this up. The Warriors can be real dangerous. And the defense the Warriors are playing right now, I caught the fourth quarter, or the last 10. Man, those guys are, they're on top of things. A lot of steals. How many steals did you say they had tonight?
Steals for the Warriors, 14, but 26 total Denver turnovers.
Good Lord. That's putting some pressure on right there. I'll tell you what. You played Lakers last night, you played Denver today, and you had mentioned, we'd have thought when they were in the 10th that they'd be in this spot. When they lost to Atlanta, I was thinking, oh, man, we're going to be in the play-in. And just the other day, I'm thinking to myself, and today actually, too, we're only a couple games from being in the play-in. But the way the Warriors are playing right now, I don't see that happening. But I sure do wish Denver would have beat Minnesota the other night. Minnesota has got a very easy schedule. So the Dubs need to keep it up. They're looking good. Don't rest nobody. Right now, play them. You can rest them when everybody else is doing the play-in. Would you agree?
Yeah, no, appreciate the call, Dre, and I do agree. And I think tonight was a signal of that. I think there was one way of thinking when you got a 37-year-old Steph who's, dealing with a nagging injury. He's still clearly in pain. At least it's not comfortable, and when he lands on it, it does not feel good at all. We saw it a couple of times last night. 35-year-old Draymond, 35-year-old Jimmy. Jimmy was also questionable with a forearm strain on his left arm. He played today. Everyone played for the Warriors today. Everyone was available at least. And actually, because of the garbage time, everybody also played. Pat Spencer got in. TJD got in. Kevin Knox got in. Even Braxton Key got in. He was kind of like a defensive specialist who's been awesome in the G League on both ends, but specifically defense, and you can see his defense translating at this level. Everyone got in, everybody played, everybody was available, which was good news. But there was a way of thinking, I think. The Warriors win in LA last night. If they got that win, knowing there's a back-to-back, knowing Steph is nursing something, knowing Jimmy is nursing something, maybe you say, all right, we already achieved our goal of splitting this back-to-back. Let's just rest Steph, rest Jimmy. Maybe we rest Draymond too, and then we gear up for Houston and try to win that game against Houston, and, we'll just accept a loss today. And the Warriors are saying, hell no. We're not doing that. Steph was questionable in a game-time decision, and they let him play. And he came out with that kind of energy and enthusiasm. Same thing for Jimmy Butler, who was not bad last night, but was a whole hell of a lot better today. And, Podziemski is young in his second year. Like, you worry so much less about a player like Podziemski in a back-to-back than someone like Steph or Jimmy or Draymond. But that was a mode of thinking. You kind of are playing on house money after you won last night. Like so many people out there would say tonight, kind of a scheduled loss, right? 2 weeks on the road, you win that game. You don't really need this one, right? Now, Dre is also right. You kind of do need this one. If the Warriors had lost tonight, they would be they would be exactly in a four-way tie with themselves, Minnesota, the Clippers, and the Grizzlies. And now the Warriors have the tiebreaker over both Minnesota and Memphis. They don't have the tiebreaker over the Clippers. But if the Warriors punted on this game like maybe some people out there thought, not that it would have necessarily guaranteed a loss, right? We've seen it happen. In fact, we saw it happen the last time the Warriors and the Nuggets played. The Nuggets rested everybody, and they still beat this Warrior team. But that's how close the Warriors are to falling out of the postseason picture. And I think Dre brings up a good point. I've spent so much time talking about potential upward movement. They're only a half game behind the Nuggets and a game behind the Lakers. Lakers are the 3 seed. The Nuggets are the 4, and the Warriors are right there with both those teams. They are also only a game in front of the Grizzlies, who are 8th. The Warriors could legitimately be anywhere from 3 to 8. The Warriors have 5 games left. That is absurd. That is 6 different spots in the Western Conference that are still up for grabs with 5 games left. Now, I think the 3 is relatively unrealistic. You're a full game behind the Lakers, and the Lakers have the tiebreaker, so you have to be 2 games better than them the rest of the way, which means in the Lakers' final 5, they have to lose 2, and you have to win out. If you lose once, they would have to lose 3. It's possible. Seems unlikely. But that is still possible. The 3 is possible, the 4 is possible, the 5 is possible, the 6 is possible, the 7 is possible, the 8 is possible. There are 5 games left for the Warriors right now. 4 games left for the Nuggets. 5 games left for the Lakers, the Warriors, the T-Wolves, the Clippers, and the Grizzlies. It is absurd the way in which the middle of this Western Conference is playing out right now. So the Warriors needed this game. And, to use a famous phrase that Steve Kerr got in trouble with in the past, the Warriors are no longer not chasing wins. The Warriors are chasing wins right now because they know one slip-up might be the difference in being the 4, the 5, the 6, or a 7 or an 8 seed in the Western Conference. All right, 888-957-9570. We'll go back to the phone lines here in just a second, but I wanted to remind you that you're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ-FM in HD1 San Francisco, and Odyssey Sports Station. We're always live on the free Odyssey app, and now we're coming to you live from outside our Laughing Monk studios. I'm currently live in the bowels of Chase Center after a Warriors win 118-104 over the Nuggets. The Warriors have now won 5 consecutive games. They snap a 9-game losing streak to Denver. They equal their win total from last year. They're now 46-31. They were 46-36 last year, and they will stay 5th in the Western Conference for at least one more day, and actually for a couple of days, because the Warriors have a full game advantage on the team directly behind them. It's a group of teams, the T-Wolves, the Clippers, and the Grizzlies. The Warriors don't play again until Sunday. When they play again Sunday, they will still, at the worst, be a half game ahead in the Western Conference standings. Let's go back out to the phone lines, 888-957-9570. Plenty more time for your calls if you're driving home from Chase right now. Also, I got my eye on our YouTube chat and on our text line, and plus we're going to hear from Steve Kerr coming up in a little bit as well. Up next is Al in Alameda. Al, good evening. How you doing, Al?
Yes, sir. What's up, Mike? Hey, thank you for taking my call. You know, I've been really very amazed on this kid named Podziemski here. I don't know if it's just a luck or what, or you know what? I don't see it that way. Okay, he kind of reminds me of Danny Ainge, but a little better, more explosive. Okay, he got happy-go-lucky on him. You know, he got his defense, his shot, and everything in there. I mean, this kid here, if he doesn't score 20 points, he'll give you 10 points at least, okay? And also, our defense, oh, my God, it's a lockdown. And they're suffocating this opponent we have lately, you know, Memphis and Lakers, now tonight. And they're just all over the place. They're just switching all over. And I haven't seen that, you know, after we have 12-3 at the beginning. I haven't seen that after that when we're like 500, under 500, or one game over 500. This is totally different Warriors, okay? And also, what's his name? Curry, he's averaging 41.1, I think, if I'm right on my math here. Okay, he had like 37, 36, 52, and he's 37 years old. Oh my God! And he just played last night and tonight. Oh, I don't know what else to say. Curry, please, I know. Thank you very much, Curry, Warriors. I mean, keep it up. And I like the ESPN, those Stephen A. Smith and those guys. They said, hey, this could be the number 2. And Windy, they said, this is a number 2 team right now. I'm looking at it. I'll be honest with you. Like a month ago, I was really, really frustrated. But now since Jimmy Bucket's there, it's totally different what I have on my mind. Thank you for taking my call.
Yeah, absolutely, Al. I mean, you're spot on. It's been a little more than a month. It's been about 2 months now, but you're right. I mean, again, I'll read these numbers off to you one more time. With this starting group, Steph Curry, Brandin Podziemski, Jimmy Butler, Moses Moody, and Draymond Green, the Warriors are 14-0. Never lost, right? Undefeated, 14-0 with that starting 5. Since Jimmy Butler debuted, remember that night in Chicago when the Warriors got down big in the first half and then absolutely wiped the floor with the Bulls in the second half. Since then, the Warriors are 21-5. How about games in which Jimmy Butler has played? He missed one, that loss in Philadelphia. The Warriors are 21-4 when Jimmy Butler plays. How about games where Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler play? 20-2. 20-2 when Steph and Jimmy Butler play. And you can say all you want about, well, they've played some bottom feeders, and when they've played good teams, they haven't been fully healthy. You know what? Nobody in the NBA is fully healthy right now. You know how rare it is to have a night like tonight where the Warriors have everybody available? Like, that just does not happen in the NBA. Whether there is a legitimate injury or whether it is, just load management, like, that just does not happen in the NBA. You play who is in front of you, and 20-2, more than a quarter of the season, that's a large enough sample to make a long-term decision on who this Warrior team is. And this Warrior team, since Jimmy Butler has been acquired, are one of the best teams in the NBA. Doesn't mean that I think they're a favorite to win it all. Doesn't mean that I think they're even a favorite to, win the West. I mean, OKC is historically good. They could still, they lost today, so the most wins they could get is 69. They can't quite become the third team to win 70. But they are historically good. The best, plus-minus net rating in NBA history, on pace for that. They are absolutely historically great. But since the Jimmy Butler acquisition, the Warriors are not that far behind them in terms of just straight up wins and losses. The Warriors are a hell of a basketball team when they are fully healthy. Now, what I also will say, and I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer here on a Friday evening, the Warriors are also of like the teams that you might consider like the best contenders. Like you take OKC, maybe you still think the Lakers are, but let's just say OKC and the Warriors and Cleveland and Boston, and you could throw like LA and maybe you believe in Houston, maybe you believe in Denver, whatever. There's like a group of 5, maybe 6 teams. I think the Warriors are in that group in terms of teams that have a legitimate chance to win a championship. The Warriors of that group are probably the most fragile, I think is fair to say. Now, every one of these teams is one injury away from like losing in the first round. Like if Shea goes down, OKC is nowhere near how good they are now. If LeBron goes down, you could kiss it goodbye. Like Lakers aren't going to be anything. Any one of the Houston Rockets go down. If Şengün goes down, if Jalen Green goes down, if Thompson goes down, they're done. If Mitchell goes down for the Cavs, they're done. If Tatum goes down for the Celtics, they're probably done. Like if Steph goes down for the Warriors, they're done. If Jimmy goes down for the Warriors, they're done. If Draymond goes down for the Warriors, they're done. Why I say the Warriors are probably the most fragile is because they are a team where their most key players are 37, 35, and 35. That's not a knock on them. It's not a surprise. It shouldn't come as, it's not an insult. It's just the Warriors' reality. They are pretty fragile. But if they are whole and if things are right, there is no reason to believe that they cannot compete with the best of the best in the West and in the entire league. That's how good they have proven to be over the last 2 months with Jimmy Butler. Again, I'll say it one more time. The Warriors, when Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler are both in uniform, are 20-2. 20-2. It is ridiculous what this team has been. And I think we got to credit. I saw, I don't know if it was a text on our text line or a comment on our YouTube chat. I saw this earlier, and I think it's worth bringing back up. And apologies, I can't recall who said it. You can text back in, call back in, comment again, and say that was you, and I'll give you your due credit. Mike Dunleavy deserves a round of applause for how this team has filled out. Podziemski of late has been amazing. That was a Mike Dunleavy draft pick. The acquisition of Jimmy Butler. You might think it's, well, what other choice did the Warriors have? Well, he ultimately was the one that got it done, found the right deal, made it work, was willing to part with not a franchise icon, but a player in Wiggins who was a centerpiece on a championship team. Not easy to say bye. I mean, you remember how Steve Kerr reacted when that trade went down? I think he was, rightly excited about Jimmy Butler's acquisition, but he was crying. He was in tears. You know how difficult that is for someone like Mike Dunleavy to be willing and to ultimately come to the decision to make that trade. Mike Dunleavy deserves a ton of credit for how this season has played out. He really, really does, because the incredible turnaround that one acquisition has allowed is astounding. Jimmy Butler has turned things around for the Warriors, and Mike Dunleavy deserves a lot of credit for that. All right, 888-957-9570. I'll keep going here on Warriors Wrap Up as long as you guys want to, so keep the calls coming. Again, 888-957-9570. That's also our text line, and you can join our YouTube chat, youtube.com/957thegame. For now, though, let's hear from Warriors head coach Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr addressed the media post-game tonight after the Warriors' 118-104 win. Steph goes off for 36. He's averaging over 41 per game over his last 3. He's 37 years old. Podziemski back-to-back 26-plus point games, 26 tonight. Also 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 10 of 16 from the field, is becoming a mid-range sniper. Podziemski was awesome in this game as well. Plenty to be excited about. The Warriors have won 5 in a row. They snapped their 9-game losing streak to the Nuggets, Steve Kerr addressing all that and more, and let's hear from him. Here is Warriors head coach Steve Kerr postgame tonight.
Pretty impressive, back-to-back. I've never been a part of a schedule like this where you're on the road 14 days and then you have a back-to-back at home, after the trip. So incredible energy, and the crowd was fantastic. And after that first quarter, we got them under control defensively, and just a brilliant effort from all of our guys. I was amazed at how much juice they had given the travel and the schedule.
Steve, what did flip in the second quarter there?
I'm sorry?
What flipped in the second quarter there?
Just our physicality. I thought we got into the ball and we're more physical. The first quarter, they were just doing anything they wanted. Jokic was incredible, and they were hitting everything. So started forcing turnovers. We forced 26 for the game, and it felt like the second quarter was when it changed.
I think the first 6.5 minutes of that second quarter, both Steph and Jokic were both out. You guys had a 15-4 run there with both of them out. How important was it to win those non-Steph, non-Jokic minutes?
Yeah, I mean, that's been a really good lineup for us, since we got Jimmy, that top of the second, top of the fourth lineup. It's been very effective against everybody. It just feels like we're going to make a really good defensive stand with that group. And, with Quentin out there, we've got some spacing. So Jimmy's got some room to work with, and the way Brandin is shooting the ball right now, it's impressive to watch.
With Steph dealing with this tailbone injury and him still trying to take three charges during the game, does that say something about how seriously the team took this game?
I just think we're in a good groove, and there's a great energy and a great belief, and the guys are connected, playing hard, and so every game is important. We know that we're in a fight just to stay out of the play-in, and everybody's committed, and it's been really fun to watch the group.
Steve, as soon as the game ended over here, Steph went over to the bench and just sort of plopped down. He looked pretty exhausted. Can you offer some context? I mean, as much as you've seen him over the years, to score 125 points in 3 games over 4 nights when your team desperately needed every game.
Yeah.
How do you sort of explain that?
In 3 different cities, at 37. He looked so fast out there tonight, and I think maybe it's his most underrated part of his game is his conditioning. Just incredible what he does out there, especially considering how much attention he draws defensively, how much pressure people put on him, and he handles it night after night and flourishes, but an incredible athlete.
There's Steve Kerr addressing this Warriors win with the media post-game tonight inside of Chase Center, 118-104 the final. Talking about Steph Curry there at the end. There's a great question. I think that might have been Dalton Johnson at NBC Sports Bay Area. It was one thing that I noticed right out of the gate. The defense was an issue in the first quarter, but Steph's conditioning, Steph having the energy, and maybe it was just like pure power of will. Maybe I'm sure he's exhausted. I'm sure he's tired. I'm sure he's sore. And I think it just speaks to his greatness. He came out there and was like the fastest guy on the floor. He's 37 years old. He's dealing with a pelvic contusion, essentially a really, really sore tailbone. And he's out there on the floor. He must have fallen to the floor like 13 times tonight. And he's out there running past everybody down the floor in transition, getting back on defense to try to take away a fast break opportunity for the Nuggets. The guy is just absolutely incredible. He is amazing. And to do what he has done in his last 3 games is otherworldly. Steph has done so many amazing things. It is literally impossible to keep track of it. I put out there after the Memphis game on Tuesday when he scored 52 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, 5 steals, made 12 threes. I put out there that's one of Steph Curry's greatest games ever. And I had 8 or 9 different people hit me up on Twitter and say, please, it's not even close. Do you know how ridiculous that sounds? I'm not disagreeing with you necessarily. I'd have to just go through and rank Steph's best games of all time. And there's so many of them. But even the possibility that a 52, 10, 8, 5 steals, and 12 threes game might not even be like a top 20 Steph game ever. That's how good Steph is. That's how wild what he is doing right now is. He's 37 years old, and he's doing that. I mean, absolutely incredible. Then he followed up that 52-point game with a 37-point game last night in LA versus the Lakers. And then tonight, on a back-to-back, after a 2-week road trip, he drops 36 points, and he goes 7 for 15 from 3. Over his last 3, on a bum tailbone, at 37 years old, in absolutely gotta-have-it games against postseason teams in the West, he's averaging 42 points per game, and he's gone 23 for 46 from deep. Steph Curry is not human. He is absolutely absurd. Watching him play basketball every day is absolutely amazing. There is nothing like Stephen Curry on the basketball court, and what he did tonight, the energy that he came with for this game, Steve Kerr said it very, very well. Maybe one of his most underrated characteristics, attributes, skills, is his conditioning. Like, there's no way he entered this game. There's no way he woke up tonight or today, this morning, whenever he woke up. Maybe he slept until noon. I don't care when he woke up. There's no way that he woke up feeling like super refreshed. He had to still be exhausted. He had to still be sore, and he comes out and wills the Warriors to another win. He is absolutely amazing, and I'm seeing it right now from the Powers family on YouTube. Steph is locked in. Yeah, he's locked in. This is playoff time. This is playoff time with Steph. And I said this after the Warriors got off to that really hot start with Jimmy, right? They went into the All-Star break, winners of whatever that was, like 4-1 in the first 5 Jimmy games, whatever it was, and they had that dominant stretch. And then they exited the All-Star break with that dominant win in Sacramento versus the Kings, returned home and kept on winning. You could tell when Steph feels like postseason basketball is on the line again, and he just like flips a switch, and he is immediately locked in, and he has played amazing basketball for like almost 2 full months. And you take out, the games that he missed with injury. He sat out 1 game just due to rest, essentially. That was the Bucks game, and the Warriors still won that game. Like, he has been unstoppable for almost 2 months. It's absolutely amazing what he's been able to do. 888-957-9570 if you want to join the conversation. Mark Randy with you here on Warriors Wrap Up. I want to hear from Draymond really quick because we're talking so much about the Warriors and the way in which they came back out today after playing in LA last night and seemingly playing like the team that was less exhausted, less tired. It felt like they had more energy all game long. Here is Draymond postgame saying, indeed, he is tired. Here's Draymond.
I'm exhausted. I just want to go home, relax, go to sleep. I'm tired.
That's Draymond. I mean, hearing that from Draymond, and he just got done guarding Jokic, and Jokic was an assist away from a 30-point triple-double, which at this point is like average for Jokic, which is crazy in and of itself. Draymond's exhausted. He's tired. And the Warriors still came out, and I'm sure that's not just Draymond. I'm sure Steph feels that way. I'm sure Jimmy feels that way. This is a Warrior team that should feel tired. They should feel exhausted. So much right now is positive, and it has every right to be. But the Warriors dug themselves a hole early in the year. That they have had to push themselves really, really hard the last 2 months because of the hole they dug themselves. And they are like in the process right now. They are a couple of steps away from like fully excavating themselves and earning a week off before the postseason, which would be incredibly valuable to this team. They're exhausted though. Like, you cannot argue. Like, saying the Warriors are not tired takes away from what tonight was. Tonight was just a power of will win for the Warriors. Draymond's exhausted. I'm sure Steph is tired and sore. They're all sore. They've all got these nagging injuries they're dealing with. And the Warriors came out against a much younger and much more well-rested Denver team, who, by the way, still really needs to win basketball games. and the Warriors looked like the younger, more energetic, and passionate basketball team today, which should go to the Denver Nuggets as an incredible insult, and it should land with the Warriors as one of the best compliments you could possibly give a basketball team. More Draymond. Here's Draymond talking about how difficult guarding Jokic is. Here's Dre.
He's tough to guard after 5 days off. A lot tougher to guard on the back-to-back, where he's sitting in San Francisco waiting on us to get back. But I think for the most part we did a good job. Saying that he's 13 for 17. He got those threes going there in that third quarter, I think it was. Thought we kept a body on him. He hit some tough shots. Why he's great. But overall, I think we did the job and got it done.
There's more Draymond. You could just tell in his voice how just beat tired he is. And that's what 2 weeks on the road does. Playing 3 games in 4 nights, including a back-to-back, where you have those 2 weeks on the road, and then you return home after that long road trip, and you have to play that same night. That is not easy to do. One more from Draymond Green, asked about this 3-game stretch. Again, at the time of playing each of these opponents, Memphis on Tuesday, they were the 5 seed. The Lakers last night, they were the 4 seed. Denver tonight, they were the 3 seed. Draymond on what this 3-game stretch says about the Warriors.
It just confirms who we thought we were. We said from the time we got Jimmy, this team, the sky's the limit for this team, and I think these games matter. Talked about it yesterday of just getting these young guys these meaningful game minutes. They're playing great. BP was incredible again tonight. QP was good in his minutes. JK was really good in his minutes. So I think it's important for us to continue to play at this level, at a high level.
Yeah, it is important. Like the one thing about the Warriors is Draymond seems exhausted. Like, Dre, I hope you're on the way home right now, and if you're listening, I hope you get a good night's sleep because you are clearly tired. But hell of an effort tonight, and the Warriors have another one. You got to strap them up 5 more times, but another big one against Houston. They're in town on Sunday, and the Warriors they have put themselves in a position where if they just take care of business for the Final 5, they will be a postseason team. They will not have to flip a coin in a play-in tournament game and hope that they don't just run into a buzzsaw on one random night when the T-Wolves or the Clippers or whoever just can't miss, and suddenly your season is over as a result, or at least it's put on the brink, and then maybe you have to play OKC in the first round. Like, the Warriors are so close to getting out of that situation, but they're still a slip up away from moving down. If the Warriors had lost tonight, they would be in a 4-way tie with themselves, Minnesota, the Clippers, and Memphis. And the Warriors win the individual tiebreakers with Minnesota and Memphis. They do not with the Clippers. And you put yourself in a spot where one slip up might be the difference in you being a top 6 team or being in the play-in. It is incredible how well the Warriors have played and how possible further movement up. They are a half game behind Denver for the 4. They're a game behind the Lakers for the 3. Yet they are also still a game out of 8th. They're a game ahead of 8th. Memphis right now losing that 3-way tiebreaker with Minnesota and LA. Memphis is the 8 currently. The Warriors are the 5. They're a game ahead of those 3 teams. It is absolutely amazing. You look at, and I just saw this chat come through. Shout out to Frodo on our YouTube chat, youtube.com/957thegame. The 3 seed currently occupied by the Lakers and the 8 seed currently occupied by the Grizzlies are separated by 2 games. 2 games between the 3rd seed and the 8th seed. That is ridiculous. The Lakers are 47-30. The Grizzlies are 45-32. That is 3 and 8. 2-game difference between the Lakers and the Grizzlies. I'll get back to the Western standings, and I'll run you through the results that happened around the West earlier today. But before I go any further, want to get to Crashing the Boards, which is brought to you by Chilton Auto Body, the Bay Area leader in collision repair. Crashing the Boards today for the Golden State Warriors. That goes to Brandin Podziemski. Podziemski had himself another great basketball game. 26 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, had a couple of steals as well. Very efficient from the field, 10 for 16, 4 of 8 from downtown, made both the free throws that he took, but also led the Warriors in rebounds. That is just what Brandin Podziemski does. One of the best rebounding guards out there, one of the best rebounders on this Warriors team. Maybe pound for pound, the Warriors' best rebounder. They have some pretty good rebounders. Despite their lack of size, they're a very good rebounding team. And by the way, rebounds, a big part of the Warriors winning this basketball game. I know the rebounding numbers were generally pretty even, but the Warriors still out-possessioned the Nuggets. You also do that with turnovers. The Nuggets only got up 74 shot attempts today. The Warriors got up 88. The Nuggets shot 54% from the field. This is crazy. The Nuggets shot 54% from the field, yet only scored 104 points. You know why? Because the Warriors suffocated the Nuggets. They did not allow them that many possessions. Turnovers, and after the first quarter, getting defensive rebounds. The Nuggets, 4 offensive rebounds in the first quarter, 3 in the final 3 quarters. Denver was one and done or none and done. They either did not get a shot up, which happened 26 times. They committed 26 turnovers tonight. They either did not get a shot up, or they got a shot up and they were not getting offensive rebounds. When you out-possession a team, you get up 14 more shot attempts than the opponent, you will not lose many basketball games. The Warriors shot a little more than 5% worse from the field than Denver, yet they won by 14 points. That's because they had 14 more field goal attempts. The Warriors shot 14 more field goal attempts, only made 3 more field goals than Denver. When you just are putting up more shots on goal, it's what Jimmy Butler has said time and time and time again. Shots on goal, shots on goal, shots on goal. I don't want to turn the ball over. All I care about is getting shots on goal. When you do that time and time and time again, and then you're forcing turnovers on the other end, you are buying yourself so much room for failure. You can shoot worse than an opponent like you did tonight, and you can still win a game relatively comfortably, and that's what happened tonight. 118-104 is the final. I got off track a bit talking about Podziemski and his rebounding, but he was a big part of it. Podziemski with 8 boards, leading the way for the Warriors. He gets the honor of crashing the boards, which is brought to you by Chilton Auto Body, the Bay Area leader in collision repair, and our thanks to Chilton for sponsoring this segment as always. Okay, before we get on out of here, let's run through the important scores from around the Western Conference today. Of course, Warriors 118-104 over Denver. An earlier game, the Rockets in Houston defended their home floor and knocked off the Thunder, who had won, I believe, 12 games in a row at that point. The Rockets win 125-111. Thunder don't really have a ton to play for. They've already clinched the 1 seed. They are likely going to finish with the best record in the NBA. Cleveland still has a chance to catch them, but the OKC would have to lose their next. They'd have to lose a couple more games, if not 3 more games down the stretch in order for Cleveland to catch them. I think the OKC Thunder care enough to make sure they have home court through the playoffs, including the finals. If it is an OKC-Cleveland matchup, it's worth it trying to get a couple more wins in order to get that. That's all they have left to play for, and they don't need to win out to do that. So not saying that the Rockets didn't deserve that win, but who knows exactly how much OKC is really playing for in this moment. But anyway, impressive win for Houston. 125-111 is the final. With that win, Houston is now 3.5 games up on the Lakers, who are the 3 seed. So the Rockets have a 3.5 game cushion for the 2 seed in the West. They have not quite yet officially wrapped up the 2, but they will very shortly. Houston has 4 games left. The Lakers have 5 games left. In order for the Lakers to catch them, they have to pray that Houston goes 1-3 and the Lakers win out, which seems unlikely. Lakers could win out, but the Rockets ain't going to go 1-3. So Houston is going to be your 2. It's all but official at this point. So that's the result of 1 game in the Western Conference. Elsewhere in the West, the Pelicans and the Lakers. Pelicans put up a decent fight for a bit, but the Lakers ultimately win 124-108 the final there. So the Lakers respond to last night's loss at the hands of these Warriors. They beat New Orleans. They are now 47-30. With their win and Denver's loss, they jump up to the 3 in the Western Conference at 47-30. They're again those 3.5 games behind Houston. They're a half game ahead of Denver. They're a game ahead of the Warriors. The Lakers have the tiebreaker over the Warriors. Important to note there, Warriors don't have the tiebreaker with either of the teams right ahead of them. The Lakers and the Nuggets, a game and a half game ahead respectively. They both have the tiebreakers over the Warriors. And then the other important game for the Lakers around the West is Mavericks and Clippers. Mavericks have been better of late. Seems like they are likely going to sneak into a play-in spot, partly because Phoenix is just giving up, it seems, and Kevin Durant is out now. They got blown out by Boston today, 123-103. Phoenix, they won that 4-game. They had that 4-game winning streak a little bit ago. They haven't won since, and KD is now out. They're done. Dallas is probably going to get in just by default. They've been better of late with AD returning, but AD was out today, and the Clippers defended their home floor in Inglewood, 114-91. So with that win, the Clippers keep pace with the Warriors. They're now 45-32. The Clippers are 1 game behind the Warriors, and the Clippers, the T-Wolves, and the Grizzlies in a 3-way tie in that 6, 7, and 8 spot. 2 of those teams, and you could also include the Warriors in this. 2 of those 4 teams, Warriors, T-Wolves, Clippers, Grizzlies, are going to be play-in teams. And those are for specifically the Warriors, T-Wolves, and Clippers, who are all playing pretty good basketball right now. And you can include the Grizzlies. They're not a bad basketball team, but they are trending downward. The other 3 are trending upward. 2 of those 4 teams, quality teams, will be play-in teams. And that is really, really rough. The Warriors would very much like to be 1 or 2 of those 4 teams that are not a play-in team and occupy either the 5 or the 6. And again, it's still possible for the Warriors to climb up to 4 and even potentially to 3. I would say realistically, the 4 is as high as the Warriors could go. The 5 and the 6, far, far, far more likely than the 4 seed, even at this point, with the Warriors only a half game behind the Denver Nuggets. Okay. Coming up next for the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors, they get a day off, a much-needed day off tomorrow. They host the Houston Rockets on Sunday. Tip-off for that game is at 5:30, which means our pregame coverage begins here at 4:30. I will have you covered on Warriors Live and wrap up on Sunday. Again, pregame coverage beginning at 4:30, and that is the final game of a 4-game gauntlet for the Warriors versus, at the time of the matchups, the 5th seed in the West, the 4th seed in the West, the 3rd seed in the West, and the 2nd seed in the West. That wraps up on Sunday versus Houston. Then the Warriors, the rest of the way, road, home, road, home. Phoenix on Tuesday, San Antonio on Wednesday, Portland a week from tonight in Portland, and then they close out the regular season at home versus the Clippers a week from Sunday. That very well could be a win, and you are a postseason team, and maybe lose and you're a play-in team. The Warriors hope it does not come down to that. They hope that they clinch a top 6 seed before then, but it is certainly possible that it plays out that way. We shall see. We'll keep you updated, of course, through all of these games right here on 95.7 The Game. All right, thanks so much for all of the interaction tonight. This has been an awesome night of Warriors basketball here on 95.7 The Game. Shout out to all of our callers, to all of our texters, to all of you guys on our YouTube chat as well. Warriors winners tonight, 118-104 over the Nuggets. They snap a 9-game losing streak versus Denver. The Warriors have beaten the Nuggets for the first time since April 27th, 2022. It's been nearly 3 full years since we could say the Warriors beat the Nuggets, and that happened tonight. And the Warriors take a big step towards solidifying themselves in the top 6 of the Western Conference. Okay. Warriors wrap up complete. I'm going to head home, get some sleep, because I'll be back with you tomorrow morning, 9 to noon, alongside Dan Devone for Warriors This Week. Hope to see all of you there. Give us a call, shoot us a text, talk to us on YouTube, 888-957-9570. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. to noon for Warriors This Week. It'll be myself, again, Mark Randy, alongside Dan Devone. Already looking forward to that. One more time, Warriors beat the Nuggets 118 118-104. We'll talk next time. Thanks so much for tuning in. My name is Mark Graney signing off. Talk to you tomorrow on 95.7 The Game.
I'm Brian Tedesco, CEO.